G'day guys, my name's Dave and today we're going to be looking at how to play the new Australian-made card game called the Train Game. It's a fast-paced put-down pick-up style card game based on the Melbourne train lines where the goal is to get a hand filled with stations that belong to the same train line and a matching train to go with them. So stick around and we're going to have a look at how to set it up and how to play. Inside each copy of the Train Game, you will find the following 7 train lines. We have the Glen Waverley line, Frankston line, Upfield, Werribee, Hurstbridge, Craigieburn and Belgrave line. Throughout those lines you'll find the following cards. There is a train and there are 2 trains for each line, and you will have the following stations to go with each line. Now there are 16 station cards for each train line. Stepping outside of the trains and train lines, you have the following action cards, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but you have your tickets, very essential for when you're riding on trains. We have our ticket inspectors, and then everyone's favorite, the undercover ticket inspectors. Something I really like about the design and graphics of this game as well is how it's really captured the diversity that you can find in Melbourne. Just reflected in the types of people featured on the fronts of the cards. Just a small little thing, but I think it's something that adds a really, really nice touch to represent the type of city that Melbourne actually is. At the start of each game, you will get your pile of cards, deal out 7 cards to each player in the game, shuffle the rest of the piles, split it in 2, flip one over, and you're ready to start. Now we're going to take a look at how the cards in this game actually work. We're going to start over here with our train station cards. As we said before, there are 7 train lines in this game, and within each train line there are 16 stations to go with that line. So naturally, these are going to be the most common cards you'll find in this game. The way we play our train stations is you'll have your hand of cards. Throughout your turn, you'll choose a station that you no longer want to keep a hold of. You'll pick it out, put it on the discard pile. Then, because it's a put-down pick-up style game, you need to pick up from one of 2 places. The first place can be off the draw pile. You can pick that up, add it straight to your hand. However, if the station you put down has a station directly below it, and it's a colour that you would like, you may actually take that from below the card you put down and add that one to your hand. So that's how the train stations work. Moving on now to our train cards. Now, as we said, these are the cards you need in your hand to win. Okay, you'll have a hand full of the same colour train stations, but if you don't have the matching train to go with those train stations, you can't win. When you have your train, you might find that you'll pick up some extra trains along the way. And if you don't want to hang on to those, here's how you can play them and use their abilities. When you play a train card from your hand on your turn, you put it on the discard pile, and what that then enables you to do is actually pick up the discard pile, sort through and choose any card you want. So previously, when you would play a station card from your hand, you could only pick up the card below the card you put down, and only if it was a train station. However, when you play a train, that enables you to go through the entire discard pile and then pick any card you want. Any card being a different coloured station, another train that you would want, or one of these action cards, which we'll get to in a moment and explain. So that's how our stations and our trains work throughout this game. Now we're going to have a look at how our action cards up the back here play throughout the game. Now comes the part of the game where it gets really fun, and it's where you can start messing around with a few of your friends and impacting on their ability to win the game. And that's through the following action cards. And they really stand out from their black borders, as you can see, so they're really easy to notice. We're going to start over here with the ticket inspectors. Now, when you have your hand of cards once again, On your turn, if you choose to play a ticket inspector, what you do is you put your ticket inspector down on the discard pile. Always, as we mentioned before, you must replace it. So whether that is from a card from the draw pile, or if there is a station below it, which in this case is not, there's a train, you could pick up that station directly below it. But in this case, there's a train there, so I have to pick up from the draw pile. Then what I would do after playing the ticket inspector is I would choose another player from the game and demand to see their ticket. And this is where they can get in a little bit of hot water if they don't have their ticket. So this is where our lovely ticket cards come into play. What would happen then if I was that person who got inspected? Let's say someone else played that and they said, David, show us your ticket. What I would then have to do is produce a ticket from my hand and play it on the discard pile. As always, you put down, you have to pick up, even if it's not your turn. So I've put down my ticket and I've picked up something to replace that in my hand. No harm, no foul, I get off scot-free. The fun part is if you don't have a ticket in your hand. So let's say that's over there. Someone inspected me and they said, David, show us your ticket. I don't have a ticket in my hand. So now we get, as we do in real life, a fine. And the fine is you need to pick up one extra card from the draw pile. So now I've gone from having 7 cards in my hand at the start of the game to now having 8, which means it's going to be a lot harder for me to win the game because I have to collect more stations of the same line. And the more and more I get inspected and get caught without a ticket, the more penalties and fines I'm going to get, which means my hand's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's going to get harder and harder for me to win. So that's how the ticket inspectors work. Moving on now to our undercover ticket inspectors, our very, very sly cards. There are actually 3 ways that these cards can be played, and we'll go through those now. So the first way is if you play the undercover inspector card on your turn, you put it down, you replace it with a card. Instead of nominating one person to inspect, what happens now is I get to inspect everyone for their tickets. So starting from the player on my left and going around the circle, they need to show me their ticket. If they have a ticket, fantastic, they put it down and replace it in their hand. If not, they take a penalty or a fine and they take a card from the top of the draw pile. Then we go to the next person, and so on until it comes back to me. That's the first way of playing the undercover ticket inspector, and it's the way you can catch a lot of people out at once. The second way we play it is what the rules affectionately call pulling rank. So this would be if someone had played, like we were discussing before, a ticket inspector card, just a normal ticket inspector, and they maybe asked me and they said, Dave, show us your ticket. Now, I might have a ticket in my hand or I might not. What I do have is an undercover inspector officer, and I decided I want to turn the tables on this person. So instead of revealing a ticket, what I can do is reveal my identity and say, actually, you can show me your ticket, saying that I'm an undercover inspector and I'm going to pull rank on you, and now the person who put that down needs to show me their ticket. If they have a ticket, they play it, replace it, no harm, no foul. If they don't, then they get the fine instead of what they were hoping for with me getting the fine. So that's the second way of playing the undercover ticket inspector. The third and final way is what I like to call the steal motion. Now this is where you've got to be quick to play this. But as we're going around, people are putting down stations, they're picking up. And what might happen if you're in a game with a couple of people is someone will put a station down of the color that you really want. But by the time it gets back to you, that station's going to be buried under a pile of other stations. So before the next person has their go, what you can do is play the undercover inspector out of turn, slap it down really quickly before the next person gets to put down their card, and you can take that card that you were hoping to collect and add it to your hand. Then play just resumes as normal with whoever's turn it was. But that's an ability there that if you see someone always throwing out purple cards, but they're across the table from you and you never get a chance to pick them up, this gives you the option to quickly steal it before the next person gets a chance to put down and either cover it up or even take it themselves. So those are the 3 ways that you can play our undercover ticket inspectors. On your turn to inspect everyone, you can play it to pull rank if someone plays a normal ticket inspector, and that kind of flips the tables and inspects them. Or you can play it out of turn to steal a station card, and I should say it's only a station card that you can steal. I will make mention too that with the pulling rank motion, these don't stack like we might see in games like Uno where we're constantly reversing or drawing two. It's a once-off move and it can't be gone back and forth, so you just leave it as is. Hi guys, just quickly, it came to our attention when we were filming this that there was a slight error I made when explaining how to play the second way of the undercover ticket inspector. And that was when someone plays a ticket inspector and nominates you to show your ticket, what you can do if you wish is to play your undercover ticket inspector on top of that to pull rank and make them show you their ticket. What I forgot to do in the video was I need to make sure, as always, I've put down, so I have to pick up to replace that, okay? So I can put that down to pull rank, but I need to make sure I'm always replacing whatever I've taken out of my hand, so my hand limit stays the same. Thanks for that, guys. Now we're gonna have a chat about how you can finish the game off and win. So I'm gonna pretend I've been playing for a little bit with my friends. Here's my hand so far. I've copped a few penalties along the way, so I've got more than 7 cards in my hand. But that's okay. As you can see here, I've got almost all purple stations. There's my purple train to go with my stations, but I still have this ticket in my hand that I need to get rid of. Now, what I forgot to mention before was that tickets can be played normally on your turn. They just have no action to go with them. So what you can look out for is if you start seeing players playing a ticket and they haven't been inspected, it's usually a good sign that they're very close to winning. So that way you might want to take up the opportunity to inspect them if you happen to have one of our ticket inspecting cards. Now, I need to try and win this game. Unfortunately, I can't just put that down and say I'm done because my turn's not over. You have to have the winning hand at the end of your turn. So I've put down, so standard rules are I need to pick up. So I've picked up this card, but it just so happens, luckily for me, I've happened to pick up a purple train station on the Werribee line. And so now it's the end of my turn because I've put down and picked up. Now I can put my hand down to everyone and say, I've won the game. And you can prove that by showing all your purple stations and showing that you have the matching train to go with that station. So that's one way of winning. The other way you could win is if the turn before me, I'm going to take my ticket back now, is if the turn before me, someone's gotten rid of one of their purple stations and they've picked up from the draw pile. There's a purple station sitting there. I know I need purple to win. So what I can easily do is just play my ticket. And because it's a train station below that one, I'm able to take it. So I can take that train station, add it to my hand, and once again, show the rest of the team and say, guess what? I've won the game. There are lots of other ways you can go about winning. You could play a train card that you no longer need and you can sift through the discard pile and you could pick up the station you need. You could get inspected, show your ticket, and then pick up to replace that ticket you've shown and it happens to be the right card. There's lots and lots of different ways. The key thing to remember is the way to win is to have a full set of matching train stations and the train to go with it for that line. And that all needs to happen at the end of your turn. So it can't be when you've put down and then you're done. You've got to, if you've put something down, you need to be able to pick something back up and hope that it is the station that goes with your hand. One other thing I will mention is, as we said before, there are 2 trains for each train line throughout the game. Now, it is unlikely that you'll end up with both of those trains in your hand. But if you do, you don't need to get rid of one of them. They still count as forming a winning set. So you just need to have a minimum of the same coloured train stations in your hand and the matching train. But if you also happen to have the second matching train, it still counts as a legal win with your hand. And that's mostly the train game, apart from one other rule we forgot to mention, which is the fast play rule. Now, the fast play rule is an optional advanced rule that can be added in to spice up the game once players are a lot more comfortable with the playing style and understanding of what all the cards do. The big appeal of the fast play rule is that it is the only way to reduce the size of your hand throughout the game. So if you are constantly being penalized by not having a ticket and your hand just keeps growing and growing and growing, the easiest way to get that hand limit down is to start using the fast play rule. An important thing you need to know about the fast player rule is that it must be announced and agreed upon by all players before you start playing the game. So everyone is aware that it is in effect and can also use the rule throughout the game. Here's how it works. On your turn, you will choose to play a station at some point. When you play a station, if you decide to pick up from the draw pile, as you pick up, if you notice that that station happens to be the same color station as the one you just put down, you can quickly slap it back down on that discard pile before the next person has their go. If you manage to get that done in time, you do not have to pick up to replace that card. So suddenly, I've gone from having 8 cards in my hand just then to now only having 7. It's now a lot easier for me to win the game. And when it comes back around to me again, I might be even more lucky and it'll happen again and I can slap it down and now suddenly I'm down to 6 and it's getting easier and easier for me to win the game. So now the ownership is on the next player to make sure they're switched on and they know what they're doing so they don't give the previous player any time to look at the card that's on the top of the deck and think about putting it down. One more thing I should mention about the fast player rule is that there is a penalty if it is played incorrectly. And what I mean by incorrectly is if I put down a purple train station and I pick up and then instinctively just slap it down anyway, but it's not the same color train station or it's not the station from the same line, not only do I have to pick this card back up and add it into my hand, but I also get a 1 card penalty for doing the fast player rule incorrectly. So this can be monitored by the other players throughout the game and enforced so that it stops people from just putting down cards whenever they draw one up to be safe. So you've got to really make sure that when you pick a card up, you need to look at it, and once you've confirmed it's of the same train line, then you can put it down. Because if you get it wrong, you're going to get another card penalty and it's going to make things a lot worse for you. Guys, that's all you need to know when it comes to playing the train game. It's a fantastic game, suitable for 2 to 7 players, and it's great for families and even your regular gaming groups. I highly recommend it. I've found the replayability on it is fantastic, and there's always lots and lots of fun messing with people when they think they're about to win, and then you throw a ticket inspector down and they've got to get another penalty. So we've had lots and lots of laughs playing it and I do highly recommend it. I'll chuck the link to the Train Game website in this video above where you can click on that and that'll take you directly to the website where you can purchase your own copy. I'm also going to put in the description of the video down below the link to the Train Games Facebook page and Instagram page so you can keep an eye on all things Train Games and all announcements that they have. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go and grab yourself a copy, spread the word. It is a fantastic game, and as always, it's great to support Australian game makers by buying and sharing around some of their products. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Hi guys, Dave here. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you found the video enjoyable and informative. Also, if you have any further questions about the rules or anything else relating to the train game, then just comment below and I'll do my best to get back to all questions. That's it from me, and I hope you have as much fun playing the train game with your family and friends as I have. Cheers guys.